Do you want more success, more growth, more results? Then it's time for the Boundless Success Accelerator from the Modern Observer Group. This isn't your average coaching program. It's where top performers come to dominate. Weekly group sessions, on-demand coaching, a community that's got your back, and a power-packed library of tools to supercharge your business and career. No more excuses, no more waiting. Get in, level up, and start building the life you've been dreaming about. Visit us at modernobserver.com/boundlesssuccess to join today. Let's get you to the next level. Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase, the podcast that helps you succeed in your business, life, and career. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group, and with me, as always, is Chip Januszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. How are you doing this week, Chip?
I'm doing great. How about you, Eric?
I am amazing. We have had such a week going forward. I did not tell you about this because I wanted your reaction live and spontaneous. But we got a notification from the Million Podcast Directory that Success Showcase has been named one of the top 100 podcasts for building life skills.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I mean, do we get some type of a star or something like that we can put? Actually, yeah, this is just audio anyway, so we can't do anything.
But yeah, so that was a nice little kudo. And we've got some other announcements coming up. We're heading into already the end of the year. So we've got a lot coming up. I am finally able to announce that our new podcast for the Exvadio Network called Thank You for Your Service, which is going to be focusing on interviews with veterans, first responders, and active duty military to help people understand just what it is these folks go through, will be officially launching on Monday, October 20, on Monday, October 6th. And then the next week, I have a publication date for my next book, Yes You Can, will be coming out to bookstores on October 15th. So it's been a big week for announcements, and we've got a lot going on to wrap up the year.
That's great. And as you being the master of all this stuff and me being along for the ride every Monday, I just say congratulations. That's wonderful. It's well earned.
Well, I mean, the congratulations goes to you too. I mean, this podcast is a joint, between the two of us. So it took a lot of work to get us to, the top 100, and I'm very proud of the work we've done.
That's great. I mean, we're going to be talking kind of like along those lines today too. So
We are, as we always say, this is the podcast to help you succeed. Today, we're going to be talking about what that actually means and how do you define success. You know, as a coach, it happens all the time. I will ask a potential client what it is they want to achieve. What do they want to do? And they'll say, well, I want to be successful. And then I have to ask them, well, what does that mean? And it's amazing how many times people have not defined what success looks like to them. And a lot of people don't even realize that success is not a single thing. It is a very personal definition. For some people, it's about family. For some, it's about business. For some, it's a combination of multiple things. For some, it's about faith. So it's all about what's important to you, and you have to define success and what it means to you.
yeah, and you do find that over time, I mean, you and I are both veterans of this. Success to us now is not the same as it was when it was 20, 30 years ago. And it's not what the perceived success is out there that you are exposed to every single day in the media, in schools, and in everything else. which is basically achieving goals as far as finances go, jobs go, success goes, recognition goes, and all that other stuff that you can just chalk up on your list of things. And yet, once you've achieved all that and you get to be closer to our age, you say, what's it all worth? And so, to
Right.
me, obviously, material success leads toward that. But if it's not leading towards some personal goal of yours, self-satisfaction, happiness, and that kind of thing, then you're barking up the wrong tree right now, and it's about time to reprioritize things.
Right. Dale Carnegie actually once said that truly successful people are never satisfied because once they've achieved something, they've realized, wait, now that, I can now do so much more. So they move on to the next level. And to a certain extent, that's true. There's always something more to achieve. So truly successful people never actually achieve that pinnacle because every time they do, they see further on and go, wait a minute, there's more. We can go further than this. So you really do have to define what it means for you. And that starts by defining your core values. So if you don't know what your core values are, you're never really going to be successful because those values are what's going to determine where you should be focusing. Is being financially comfortable one of your values? Is it all about family? You have to know what's important to you and what's really part of you in order to become successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we talk about all the time is you got to do a self-analysis. You got to start with
Yep.
that. Start writing all these things down on paper. What you feel good about, what are your strengths? What do you want to do deep down inside in your heart, not with your head? You got to write all these things down. And again, I recommend using some type of tool. With me, it's just a spreadsheet, writing them down and prioritizing them and putting there. But if you have that in front of you all the time, in the form of a mission statement or purpose, passion, that type of thing, that's where you have to start from. So, yeah, I totally agree 100%. Core values start number one. I mean, we talk a lot about networking all the time. And when I start the meetings, I tell you, your commercials are all about what's your value added. Because
Yep.
if you're not working a business where you're bringing value to other people, you're just there punching a paycheck every single week, and you're never going to be happy or successful. But if you're bringing value to others people's lives, and basically everybody's core value in one way or another is to bring value to other people's lives because we all have our own special talents. There's only one of you out there, and you have something that you can do for other people that nobody else can just by being you. So identify what that is and live it.
Absolutely. And once you've figured out what your core values are, and it's not difficult. I mean, for most of us, we have an innate feeling about what those values are. Things like freedom, family, achievement, creativity, service, things. But you can ask yourself a couple of questions to really clarify it in your mind. List a whole bunch of values, whether they're important to you or not. And once you've got that list, look through them and ask yourself, why is this value important to me? Yeah, if it's not, cross it out. But if it is, figure out why it's important to you. Ask yourself, how does it show up in your day to day life? Are you being true to those values? And also, which value do you feel you're neglecting? Maybe there's something you feel's missing in your life. The fact of the matter is success can feel very empty if it's not aligned with your values. So you have to know what those values are in order to align it. And then once you've got that, another exercise that you can do is visualize your ideal day. Imagine it's 5 years from now, you're living your most successful life. So write down a detailed story of an ordinary day. Ask yourself, where do you wake up? Who's with you? What work are you doing? How do you feel about it? How do you spend your time outside of work? And this is something that's very important. This is actually one of the first questions that we ask most of our coaching clients during the discovery call because we want them to visualize where it is they want to get to.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. Visualize your ideal day. And a great way to do that is to kind of keep track. I mean, as a lot of you folks know out there, I journal and I journal every single day and I have for the last 11 years. And if you can write down your journal every single day, things that you're grateful for, things that you've done, and so on and so forth, and go back and read through that. It's not hard for you to see what your ideal day is. I mean, for me, I've got 11 years of them right there, and I can pick all of the different things from that. So if you haven't started just a simple gratitude journal, just writing down something every single day and going back to that and reading it. And with me, I keep mine in calendar format. So I have basically an entry for every day going back to 2015 where I can just read what happened today for the last 11 years. That's one way to do it. And if you can do that and start looking back on that, that's a great way to track. Because if you have a question right now and I ask you what your ideal day is, you're probably going to go, this will help you. If you can journal what's going on, there are going to be things right in front of you where you're just going to say, aha, oh yeah.
Yeah, and when you do journal, the journal entries can be used to springboard. Remember, because your ideal day actually shouldn't be something you've already done. It should be a piece from this day, a piece from that day. Because if you're already living your ideal day, all right, you're a success. You can turn the podcast off. You can go, you've done it. But there's, again, as I said from Dale Carnegie, there's always more. So you want to see where that springboard is. What more is there that you'd like to do, that you'd want to be successful at? And another exercise you can do once you've, figured this out, if you're trying to figure out where you want to go from here, because let's face it, truly successful people are never stagnant. If you look at a successful person today and then look at them again 2 years from now, they're very different people because successful people are always growing, they're always exploring new things. So, another exercise you can do is identify role models. List 3 people that you admire. They can be folks you know, a parent, a teacher. They can be public figures, CEOs, um, political figures, folks like Mother Teresa or Gandhi. Doesn't matter who they are if you actually know them or not. But list 3 people that you admire and write what it is about them that inspires you. What qualities do they have that you want to develop? What parts of their lives do you not want to develop? And that's just as important as figuring out what you do want to emulate. There are loads of well, not just public figures, but folks we all know that they're very successful in one aspect of their lives, but there are other aspects that they are abject disasters at. And I will use as an example Steve Jobs. Many people look up to him as a role model, look at him as a very successful individual, and certainly in business and finance, he was. But if you look at his personal life, it was an abject disaster. So, yes, you might want to have his creativity and, some of the features that he had that allowed him to be a absolute Goliath in business, but you probably wouldn't want to have his personal life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the role models that you're talking about as far as famous people, obviously we talked a lot about reading and personal development, but if you start reading or listening to audible tapes about these people, you'll discover what some of their core values are, and you can add them to the list of yours that you want to strive for. And if you're out there, we always talk about optimism in every obstacle is an opportunity. And one obstacles that we all have sometimes is feeling jealous of other people and their accomplishments and so on and so forth. And one of the best things that you can possibly do with those is if you really want it bad enough, instead of complaining about it, strive for it yourself. Put that down as something that you want to do. So you can learn a whole lot from what other people do and never say that you can't because you can. Just go out and do it.
Right. Role models act as mirrors in a sense. When you look at them, they can help you clarify what you value and what you don't. What part of them do you actually admire? And what part of them do you go, well, that's really not for me? And it is a fantastic feeling to realize that, wait a minute, they haven't done anything that you can't do. And I remember, this is going back almost 30 years already. I was suffering from injuries in my arms. Was I had severe carpal tunnel syndrome in both arms, and my arms were in braces, and I was feeling really depressed about it. And on my lunch break from work, I walked into a Barnes and Noble and I started looking at the books. And I happened to come across A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, wait a minute. This man figured out how time worked. He can't walk, he can't move independently, he can't speak. And look at everything he accomplished. Now, yes, as we said, there's part of his life I would not want for myself. But looking at what he did, went, wow, I feel really stupid feeling all sorry for myself because I have a temporary injury.
Yeah, and then another point there too. All these people that you're reading about, without exception, except for maybe Mother Teresa or somebody, they all have their faults too. So, you know, the Adage is nobody's perfect, and that's the fact. However, these people strived to do what they needed to do to be successful, to contribute to humanity, whatever they did. So, I mean, they're really, really, it's important to do that. And the bottom line is, if you do put your mind to it, it's something you can strive for and do yourself because they will leave a trail in their books and in what they've done as to how they've accomplished it.
Exactly. And, that's one of the reasons it's so important to figure out what success means to you. Because the first step in it, even before you figure out what success is to understand that, yes, you can be successful. We talk about this mindset all the time. It's actually at the core of my new book, Yes, You Can. We are all capable of so much more than we think we can, but you have to put the effort in. You have to be willing to do the work. So, yes, you can succeed. And to do that, of course, you have to figure out what it is. And we talked about core values, and it's also important to define what success looks like in different areas. Break your success into categories. What is it like to succeed in your career? What does it look like to succeed in your relationships, your health, your finances, personal growth, your community? You know, all of these obviously look different, not just from each other, but from person to person. So figure out what success looks like in each category. You may not be able to succeed in everything, but you can then pick the categories that are most important to you. And as you're looking at what it would take to succeed, think about it in terms of, what would enough look like in a given area? How much would satisfy you? Then what would extraordinary look like? How much more could you do? How much more effort would you have to put forward to actually be extraordinary in one part of your life? Now, success is rarely one dimensional. We talk a lot about work-life integration, and even just work and life tend to be broken up into further categories. So, which of those are you really going to focus on to build your success?
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, talking about what's your ideal day, we've talked a lot about strategic planning and personal strategic planning, and you just brought up for every aspect of your life, personal, professional, relationships, a whole lot of other things that you really want to do. And these are things that you need to write down and plan for your whole life. And we talked about taking time out so that you're spending time on all those different things instead of just working 10 hours a day and thinking everything is going to be all right. You got to have a balanced schedule there. And we talked about taking rest during the day and so on and so forth, always having something to look for as far as something to celebrate or maybe a vacation and so on and so forth. You need balance in this. And the bottom line is there are so many facets to your life. And if you can identify the core values by each single one of them and put them down in a plan and you have your ideal day in mind already, you can really put it all together very, very nicely.
Yes, and this exercise of defining success in different areas, if you're working with a coach, the exercise is usually called the Wheel of Life. So you can ask your coach about that. And if you're not working with a coach, Google Wheel of Life. There's, I'm pretty sure, worksheets online that you can find that will help you achieve this. Um, and even though it's called the Wheel of Life, it's not always organized into a wheel, but that's the most common configuration for that exercise. So, but once you've done all of this, now it's time to put it all together. Your core values, what success looks like in each area, what you're doing. Put it all together into a success statement. This is a little different from your mission statement or your purpose statement. Those are more aligned with your core values. That's who it is you are at your core. The success statement combines everything we've talked about so far into just one or two sentences that describe what success looks like to you. And I mean, you can even use the format success for me is blank and fill that in. Like, success for me is running a profitable business that gives me the freedom to travel, spend time with family, and give back to my community. That's the sort of statement you're looking for. Tying in different areas of success into a single statement. And the reason for this is that this is your personal definition. This is how you're going to define whether or not you're successful. And it also helps get you there because, as the end point on the map, it helps you choose your route. Is what I'm doing now going to get me to that definition of success?
So again, I'll throw out the question to you then. We talked a lot about mission statements, and I think perhaps your success statement can be your mission statement, but with success is in front of that instead of my mission is.
It's very similar. Um, Success statements tend to be a little more general, where a mission statement gets a little more into the weeds. Um, for example, a success statement would say, a success for me is running a profitable business, where a mission statement might say, my mission is to build a profitable publishing business or build a coaching business or the type of business. Mission statements tend to be slightly more specific than success statements. Success statements, I guess, give you a little more wiggle room.
Yep. Maybe I should have restated statement of purpose
Yes.
instead of mission, because your purpose is basically the value add as opposed to a mission statement which hasn't started yet. I mean, this is something that you're working off of. So I sit corrected.
Right. They're all related. I mean, you can also have a value statement for your core values. They're all related, they're all connected. So they do all tend to sound very similar, which is good because you want all of these different statements to be aligned. If you have a very different mission statement than you have a success statement, somewhere you've missed a connection. And you should really go back and examine what it is you consider to be your mission and how you're defining success.
Interesting. How to define what success means to me. That is something that's so important. It can be so focused and yet it's all over the place. So it's
Right? And
something, core values, perfect place to start. And it's really, it's something that it's new to me as far as asking that question, but then it really isn't new at all.
right, it's something we all have it inside us, but what we're talking about is actually putting a process to it to actually take the time and figure this stuff out. And something else that tends to trip people up, your mission statement, your success statement, even your core values, they're going to change over time. Your core values when you're 18 are very different from your core values at 49. And your mission statement will change. Your success statement will change. So periodically, you need to test your definition. Look at that statement and say, does this excite me when I look at it? Maybe it doesn't anymore. Maybe what once meant so much to you, you've grown out of, you've changed. Maybe you've gotten more success in other areas and you found that to be more fulfilling. So understand that you as a person change constantly. You're never the same, even minute to minute, never mind year to year. So you need to revisit this periodically to make sure that what you once thought of as success still excites you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, life is a journey, and your successes are a journey that come along with life also. So going back and seeing what they were, how do you feel about them now? Obviously, your life is going to change as far as from when you're a child or growing up through school to maybe having a family and children and grandchildren and so on and so forth. Jobs change, basically things that you've liked and so on and so forth. Maybe some things that you like now weren't even available to like, 10, 15
Right.
20 years ago with modern technology and so on and so forth. So it's so important to keep active, but putting these things down and analyzing them and regrouping and so on and so forth and working on that person in the mirror is just so important to make it work for you.
Yes. And pay attention to what you're focusing on a regular basis. I actually had this a few years ago. We've talked about this on the podcast that at the beginning of every year, we put together a vision board in my family where it's all a whole bunch of things, not necessarily that we're going to accomplish that year or get in that year, but this is what we're aiming at. And at the end of one year, I do tend to forget come September, October to look back at what we decided. And one year I went to do our next one and I looked at the previous years and went, oh, did it, did it, did it, did it, did it. And I was amazed because I hadn't even thought about it. So you do need to pay attention to what you're doing because you may already be more successful than you think, accomplishing more. But because we tend to dismiss the day to day, if you're not focusing on it, if you're not paying attention to where you want to go, you might just shoot past it and not even realize it.
Yep. That's one of the benefits of journaling. You can go back to it.
Yes. All right. So we are just about at the end of our time. So, Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
Well, I love the success statement. It's so important to come up with that and to just keep adding to it. Um, Basically, what we're all meant to do in life during our journey is to use our talents and really to just share it forward in the forms of our experiences with our loved ones and our experiences with the people in our lives as far as business people and so on and so forth. I'm sure a core value to most of you folks out there is whatever you are good at and whatever you're doing, you do want to share it forward with other people, and you hope that they're going to be sharing it forward too. That's how the whole thing works. Life is a circle of accomplishments, not just a list.
Yeah, it's always about more than just what you're getting. It's about what you're giving. We talk about that a lot here. We've talked about it with Bob Berg, who wrote The Go Giver. Uh, but it really is, the more you give, the more you get. And the easiest way for you to succeed, whatever that looks like for you, is to help others succeed. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. So, yeah, I think for me, the biggest takeaway is just to really make the definition. What is it that success means to you? Because, yeah, as Yogi Berra once said, if you don't know where you're going, you might not get there. So figure out what success looks like, and that makes it a lot easier to get there. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.